In 2016, at 19, my coat pockets bulged with tea bags and sugar, and I was drenched in rain, grappling with a panic attack in an alleyway behind a store. This story has remained untold, not out of shame, but because it was emblematic of my youth, a time ruled by anxiety and fear. Now, I'm a published author, imparting Stoic wisdom to thousands, with a firm grip on my life, free from the clutches of anxiety and fear. Such liberation seemed out of reach, not only for me but for anyone. Yet, here I stand, a living example of Stoicism's transformative potential. If you're seeking a similar metamorphosis, pay heed to my words and the advice at the end of this video. That's the pivotal part. Initially, my message might not seem groundbreaking or astonishing. It might even seem overly simplistic. But the essence lies in listening and then acting upon the instructions at the very end, which can revolutionize your life as it did mine and will undoubtedly do for yours. Welcome back to The Everyday Stoic with William Olivan, author of The Everyday Stoic: Simple Rules for a Good Life. Today's episode is brought to you by Huel, a convenient, cost-effective, nutritionally complete food that provides your body with everything it needs. This episode is particularly meaningful to me because it outlines the journey I took to alter my life, and I know many of you are feeling exactly as I did, anxious, scared, like a victim with no control over your life, dreading a bleak future. That mindset is now foreign to me, and I know a significant number of you are thinking, well, you're special. I can't undergo that transformation. I'm weak, pathetic, scared, anxious. I was in that same place, and I've transformed. I know people who were in worse conditions and have made even greater strides. So, back to the story. Why was I behind a store in an alleyway, scared and anxious, having a panic attack? It was just another day for me, filled with anxiety about visiting a new shop. I eventually gathered the courage, despite the tightness in my chest and the overwhelming anxiety. I walked to the shop, dreading the interaction with the cashier, fearing the people I might encounter. My anxiety reached its peak, and instead of entering the store, I walked past it, hid behind it, and felt terrible. I was trying to muster the courage to go in, but something about the situation made me incredibly anxious. That was my life back then. Certain things just made me feel horrible, and I didn't feel good. Many of you can relate. I was wet because it was raining, and my pockets were loaded with tea bags and sugar. I carried these items because if I visited my brother's, mom's, or a friend's house, I could have a cup of tea, a staple for any British person. How did I progress? How did I become the person I am today? And how can you achieve the same? The first step and the most critical concept to grasp is the inner citadel, taught by Pierre Hadot and derived from ancient Stoics. Most people, including myself, live life in the external world, believing that external goals, actions, and attacks are what give us life or cause us pain. However, the concept of the inner citadel suggests that it is our internal workings that are our life. We spend 24 hours of every single day inside our own heads, with our internal monologue constantly churning. This is the first thing you need to fix and understand. There are 3 steps to this realization. The first is to acknowledge that your negative self-talk is what is destroying you. When I was younger, working on construction sites and catching the bus every morning, filled with anxiety about going to the shops, I had a voice inside my head, my internal dialogue, that was always criticizing me, telling me I was anxious, weak, and trapped in an endless cycle. I thought this was normal. It was only recently that I learned many people have this negative self-talk and consider it normal, often stemming from childhood trauma or difficulties in their upbringing. This negative talk becomes their overseer, always putting him down and pushing him down in life. Even when good things happen, they're pushed down. I rewired this, turning it into a positive voice, like a guardian watching over me, always guiding me in the right direction, no matter what. It's incredible. No matter what happens in life, this good voice offers help, tips, and direction. You change this by doing it incrementally, 0.01% at a time. For me, walking to the bus stop feeling anxious, going to and from work, I always had the negative self-talk. I actively and forcefully changed it to positive, looking for the good, looking for gratitude. Over years, this slowly steered the track. What this does is rewire the synapses in your brain linked to the negative self-talk, slowly changing them to positive self-talk. It's like being stuck in a groove. If the wagon keeps going over the same track every day, it's the easiest path to take. It's hard to steer out, but once you've steered out, this new path becomes second nature, so easy. The second aspect of the inner citadel is that you cannot outrun your pain. As Marcus Aurelius said, men seek refuge in the countryside, at the seaside, looking for escape, but you can never outrun your mind. This is what I'm talking about, the monologue going round and round, the problems circling in your head. If you flee to another country, you'll still have those same problems, but now you're in the sun. So, you have to face it in the present moment, which is all that exists. You need to work on this every single day, in the present moment, knowing you cannot escape by running away to a different friendship, relationship, or into the future. Now, if your problems are coming from a toxic relationship, escaping that will sever the toxic relationship, but the problems within your mind will not disappear. They disappear from working on yourself. The third part of the inner citadel is that whatever is thrown at you in life, the challenges, difficulties, pain, suffering, these are all tools to build up your fortress, to build up the inner citadel. And as they say, Rome was not built in a day. It takes a long time of being hit with all these obstacles of life, these instruments of life, these difficulties, and you pick them up and build your inner fortress to become an impenetrable wall. This is challenging, but with difficulty comes courage, with confusion comes wisdom, with wrongdoings comes justice. When you see wrong has been done, you can stand up and help someone. All difficulties become instruments and equipment and material to build up your inner citadel. This fortress is your greatest weapon. And you need to understand this because the answers do not lie in the external. You might get that new Bugatti, that new job, that new relationship, move to that new place, but you'll be laying in bed, and your mind will be spinning, thinking about all the problems. You need to master this and come to terms with all of this. It's a long process. Rome was not built in a day. The next step is this teaching from the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, which means the meditation of the evils that lay ahead. It's a very simple concept. Epictetus, the Greek-born slave-turned-philosopher, said when you go out to the public baths, remember that people shove, splash, and are rude. Marcus Aurelius said the same thing. When you go about your day, remember that rude people will be there. This understanding is so powerful because right now, you'll be the same as I was when there was a rude person at work, or I missed the bus because the bus was early, or it was raining, or a challenge came along. I was always swept off my feet, thrown into the storm, and it was always a huge undertaking, a huge challenge to get over this thing, to face the problem put in front of me. But if you expect these things, if you know your boss is always annoying, if you know it rains most days, if you know you sometimes miss the bus because it's not on time or you left late, waiting for it, if you know these things and they happen to you frequently, then it is foolish not to expect these things, and it is even more foolish to be disturbed by these things. I was the same. I would always get annoyed when I was left at the bus stop waiting for ages because the buses were so infrequent. But when I had the realization that these things are so normal, that sometimes the bus driver isn't stress over this issue, and when future challenges arise, you'll be well equipped to handle them. This applies to every difficulty in life. Another aspect to consider is that evil and bad exist in the world, but so does good. Understanding this duality and recognizing your potential to be a force for good, you stop seeking answers externally. You no longer look for others to provide solutions or to rescue you. Instead, you take charge of your own salvation. The next step is to seek help. Many people are hesitant to ask for assistance, but it's crucial. Countless times, I've had a problem or conflict in my head that just wouldn't stop. When I was younger, I'd let these thoughts fester for months or even years, leading to illness, migraines, and overwhelming anxiety. The thoughts would consume me, making it impossible to focus on what truly mattered. Eventually, I'd reach a breaking point and confide in someone. As soon as I shared my burden, the problem didn't seem so insurmountable. People would often say, "That's not so bad. I feel like that sometimes," offering solutions and advice. I'd always wonder why I hadn't spoken up sooner, as it lifted such a weight off my shoulders. Remembering this can help you shed that weight and realize, as Marcus Aurelius did, that seeking education and wisdom from others is a lifelong pursuit. Even in his final days, he continued to learn from tutors and mentors because he understood that no matter how intelligent, wise, or talented you are, someone else will always be more knowledgeable or skilled in a particular area. This is a universal truth, as everyone has a unique life experience and perspective. Marcus Aurelius believed that asking for help is not a sign of giving up but rather a refusal to quit. He compared it to soldiers storming a castle. The soldier who refuses the helping hand over the wall is the one who gives up on the mission, not the one who accepts it. In life, accepting help means acknowledging that you can't overcome an obstacle alone, but with assistance, you can succeed. Seeking help is vital, but it doesn't mean you should wallow in self-pity or constant complaining. It simply means recognizing that if you have a problem, there are countless others who may hold the key to solving it. If you're watching this, you might be young, and there are older, more experienced individuals who have faced similar challenges. There's no doubt that the hurdle you're facing has been conquered by many before you. By asking for help, you can instantly lighten your load. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It takes courage and vulnerability, which are both forms of bravery. You're exposing yourself to potential pain in the pursuit of growth. Remember, in times of peace, we must prepare for war. Most people wait for difficulties to become unbearable before deciding to address them. However, times of peace are when we should be training and sharpening our skills, preparing for the inevitable storms. Use these moments to build your inner citadel, your fortress, working on it daily so that when challenges come, you're ready. People often wait too long to start improving. Begin now, and by the time you're 20, you'll be well prepared for life's battles. The next crucial step is to be present. There are only 2 more steps after this, with the most important trick at the end. Being present is key. When I was anxious, it was largely due to thoughts about the future and the past. I had many regrets that led to rumination and sadness. I carried the weight of the infinite past and the anxiety of the infinite future, which do not truly exist. In reality, my mortal body is confined to the present moment. I sat with the burdens of the future and the past, and the countless thoughts that stemmed from these 2 extremes swirled around me, causing anxiety and clouding my mind. By clearing these thoughts, you not only alleviate anxiety but also free your mind to think more clearly, be more creative, and retain information better. Understand that your focus should be on the here and now, as you listen to my words. The dentist appointment or the fear of your trousers ripping at school doesn't exist in this moment unless it's happening right now as you listen. Past mistakes and future worries are not present as you hear my voice. Most people worry excessively, suffering unnecessarily when they only need to concern themselves with the present. People only need to suffer twice, yet they often suffer 1,000 times. For instance, if you have a dentist appointment in 2 months, the thought of it will cause anxiety and worry countless times before the appointment, ruining those 2 months and making you feel miserable. You're suffering for an extended period, enduring 1,000 bouts of distress. Then, when you arrive at the dentist, the anxiety may intensify, a natural response as your body prepares for a potentially uncomfortable situation. However, it shouldn't be overwhelmingly negative. It's just your body readying itself for something new or unsettling. The actual event is rarely as bad as your imagination makes it out to be. So, you suffer unnecessarily 1,000 times when you only need to suffer twice. Yes, suffering is an inevitable part of life. Another truth is that you cannot escape suffering. All you can do is confront the pain, which in turn helps you build resilience and the tools to live a fulfilling life and face future challenges. When you get to the dentist and undergo the procedure, was it really that terrible? It might have been 30 minutes of discomfort after weeks or months of anticipatory suffering. So, be present. The present moment is the greatest gift, as it's all we truly have. Always remember this. The final step before we reveal the trick involves dispelling a common misconception about Stoicism, that Stoics are unemotional and do not understand or connect with their emotions. Marcus Aurelius, in his letters to his mentor, openly discusses his love for his mentor, his emotional experiences, and even his tears. He wept in public, expressed anger, and feared death. Marcus Aurelius was deeply in touch with his emotions. The idea that Stoics are unemotional is incorrect. The typical person is like someone in a river of emotions, being swept along by the current. When the emotions become overwhelming, it's like being dragged under by the tide, making it hard to concentrate when you're being tossed about by your feelings. Stoics, on the other hand, aim to be like someone standing on the riverbank, observing their emotions from a distance. It's easier to be observant when you're not caught up in the flow. This requires practice and involves following the steps I've outlined to step back from your emotions, not be so deeply entangled in them, and understand that these emotions are normal. To understand emotions, you must first acknowledge their normalcy. Everyone experiences these feelings. I have a story about my own struggle with anger. Until recently, I believed I never got angry, that I didn't know what anger felt like. I was unaware of many other emotions as well, such as joy and excitement. But anger was a powerful emotion I didn't realize I had. When someone pointed out that everyone feels anger, joy, and happiness, I insisted I didn't experience these emotions. After a long conversation, I realized I had been suppressing them, letting them build up inside me. I had been pushing them down because I didn't believe I felt these things, and I hadn't learned about them. This suppression turned into severe anxiety that made me ill. The day I learned to recognize anger, and I started to feel these emotions, I thought about it and realized, this isn't anxiety. I am angry. Someone has been unkind to me. Someone has wronged me. Life, or rather, someone in my life, is making me angry. I'm getting angry because of these things, and I kept thinking and understanding my own anger. Eventually, when I understood these emotions, and I understood joy, that small feeling that I thought was anxiety again, where I'm going to do something like when I was going to that shop, It's a new shop I wanted to go to. I felt excitement, but I was bottling it all up, mixing it with my anger, mixing it with everything. It was just turned into anxiety. And when I started to try and express my emotions, express my joy, you know, if I was making a nice meal, I'd put on a nice song, get a bit happy, get in the rhythm. If someone pissed me off, and I did get angry, I'd say, hey, I'm feeling angry. I still didn't know how to express these things fully, but I tried every single day. And once I started to understand this huge spectrum of emotions, I started to get a grasp of what they are, and I started to not be fully entrenched in them because they were drowning me in all these emotions. Now, I can stand on the river banks and observe them, and I can kind of go, that's why I'm angry. What should I do about this? And that's the way you need to be. The next thing, and this is the most important part, I've got an exercise that you have to follow because everything I've told you about will not become cohesive. It will not work in your life if you do not do this exercise at the end. And it's very easy, very easy. I came up with this today actually, and this video was not going to have an exercise at the end, but I think this exercise is what will make this video really cement in your head and actually change your life. It will change your life. I have confidence that if you do this exercise, your life will change. So, I wish I knew about this. I wish I knew about this. This is life-changing, and I do this now, but I wish I knew about it sooner because I think I would have written like 10 books, and I would be on. No, I'm not too bothered about those things, but I'm just saying, like, my progress would have been drastically ahead. But I don't really care about that because all these things have led me to who I am now. But now, you will know this exercise. So, what I want to say is, small steps every single day lead to great distances, and if something is worth doing, it is worth doing poorly. The first thing is, small steps every single day lead to great distances. People believe you have to go all in, you have to do this great thing, you have to take huge risks, you have to throw all your money at it, you have to quit the job, you have to switch your life, you have to leave the country, you have to take the biggest risk. This is not true because luck is involved in all these things, and sometimes these things go wrong. And if you throw everything into an obstacle or a leap, and it goes wrong, this will destroy you. Success never tells us the story of the people that went all in and completely derailed their life and destroyed it. You won't hear about these stories, but then more likely, they're more common than the people that go all in and are successful. This is a fact. You just look at life and observe the people that tried and failed. The goal is to be consistent every single day, and this is a fact coming from myself. This is a fact. I tried to go all in many times in life, and what happened is it was an awful experience. I got so anxious, I failed, and it would set me back another year because the anxiety got so bad. The feeling that I got from failing that bad was so just terrible because it's hard to take this big step. Your mind doesn't catch up with that. Your feelings don't catch up with that big step. And sometimes people do take this big step, and their body hasn't caught up with it. Their feelings haven't caught up with it. And then they live with this imposter syndrome that is still crippling them. So, small steps every single day lead to great distances, and that's what the exercise is based on. The next thing is that I need you to understand before doing the exercise, if something is worth doing, it is worth doing poorly, or it's worth doing bad, and I don't mean bad as in evil. I just mean doing a terrible job of it. Now, we are never taught this as kids. We're taught, if something is worth doing, it is worth doing right. It's completely wrong, and I'll tell you why. Because people have this perfection, this idea of perfection in their head, and this will stop anyone from ever doing anything. I know so many people that wanted to start a business but didn't have the perfect start, the perfect logo, the perfect name, the perfect brand, they didn't have the perfect connections, so they never started and lived their whole life never starting. I know people that wanted to go to the gym and fix their life, fix their health problems, but they didn't have the perfect gym membership, didn't have the perfect gym clothes, or the perfect routine or structure. They didn't have any of these things. And I know people, like myself, that have made mistakes, done things they're not happy about, and they didn't want to start because, I'm not that perfect guy yet. I need to be perfect before I start. You'll never be perfect, so you'll never start. The idea is, if something is worth doing, it is worth doing poorly. What do I mean? If you want to go to the gym, and this is a big goal, you want to have people say, well, you have to go to the gym, do a full workout of this. Just walk out your door, put your running shoes on, attempt to walk to the gym. If you don't do it, at least you did something better than yesterday. And then the next day, you can actually go through the gym entrance and go, actually, too anxious. Let's walk out. And the next day, you talk to the person at the desk and go, I'm thinking about starting. And then, I'll enroll you tomorrow. And then you cancel on it because, like I did many times in my past, you get a bit too anxious, you cancel on it, but then you walk to the thing again and go, sorry, I cancelled. I was very anxious, I'm new to this, I'm very nervous, and they're always so kind because they want to get you into those doors and help you, and it's their job. Eventually, you keep doing these poor, terrible, messed up steps, working towards the goal you have of having this great gym session, and eventually, you'll get there. The reason I'm saying is, and you have to do every single day these small steps, is because, how long have you had this goal of doing something in your head? Probably years. And if you do these crappy, rubbish, poor steps every single day, how long will it actually take you to achieve your goal? Probably just a month. So, years of putting something off with the idea of doing it perfectly, or a few weeks or a week of doing something imperfectly, and actually getting there, getting the thing you want. So, if something is worth doing, it is worth doing poorly. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the exercise that encapsulates all this. If you want to improve at anything, just do it. I'll give you my example, and then I'll tell you what you can do. I wanted to be able to talk to people, help them one-on-one, get on camera, and share what I believed were valuable lessons that could assist others. I know these lessons are good because a book deal came from them, and I receive great messages from all of you saying how much they help you. I wanted to get to this point, the moment I'm in now, but the person I was many years ago wouldn't allow that. I was too anxious, couldn't speak properly, couldn't talk on camera. I was too nervous, all these kinds of things. So, how did I get here? It started in my room. I got books. Not this book, it didn't exist many years ago. I got meditations, and I would start to read it aloud, and I felt awkward. I felt I was on my own, felt awkward reading aloud, but I practiced getting rid of that awkward feeling. And slowly but surely, that feeling started to fade. Then I started creating my own lessons, and I would deliver them aloud, so I was giving lectures to imaginary people. This felt more awkward than reading a book, but I kept seeking that discomfort, that weird, horrible feeling that you don't like. And then I took out my phone, and I read aloud with the phone, and I felt more awkward because it was on camera. Then I started giving these made-up educational videos, like, hey guys, if you want help with anger, you need to follow these 5 Stoic principles. And that felt awkward. It all felt awkward. But eventually, I could pull out my phone and do whatever I wanted, and it didn't feel awkward. I could read aloud, and it felt good. Because there is something greater than that horrible feeling you get. It is the feeling of progress. It is the feeling of moving toward the person you want to be. It's an amazing feeling. It's addictive. So then, but the way it stays addictive is to do it every day. It's like going down a slide. It feels like you're just gliding down a slide towards progress, rather than climbing up a hill. It's amazing. And then I decided, I'll film a video. This took so much courage for me. I'd film a video for my Instagram story because Instagram stories aren't as permanent and real as Instagram Reels or Instagram videos, and I did that, and it felt awkward. I was embarrassed, but I did it, and the next day did it again. Then I did Q&A on stories, and eventually, I actually loved doing these Q&As. And then I uploaded a real video, started getting on YouTube, started talking to people, and before you know it, I'm doing these Zoom calls with loads of people, giving advice, learning all these kinds of things. And none of it is nerve-wracking at all. I love it, every single step of it. So, what I want you to know, and by the way, this progress is so addictive, and you become so unrecognizable, that these anxious feelings that I had, I can't understand them. I don't understand how getting in front of a camera wouldn't make me feel bad. It makes me feel so good. So, what I want you to do is write down what you want to do, the goal that you have. So, if your goal is to sing in front of a large audience, write that down at the top. That is your main goal. And then I want you to write down any single step involved in this. Can be anything that's related to this. Do you think is linked to this in some way? So, singing alone in your room, talking to someone about wanting to sing, singing on camera, singing to a friend, singing at school, anything. If these things, when you think about them, like if I say to you now, go sing at school, you get a horrible feeling. If I say, tell your friends about how much you love singing, you get that, oh, I don't want to do that. If I say, right now, you sat in your room, listen to me, sing out loud, you probably feel awkward because you're singing to me, you're not, but it feels that way. And when you get that weird feeling, that discomfort, I want you to chase that every single day. And you can chase the little bit of discomfort, the one that's not as hurtful, the one just singing in your room, rather than singing to your friends. Just chase that, chase it, every single day until it becomes boring. But once it becomes boring, don't keep doing it. Chase more discomfort, chase the singing in front of your friends, keep singing to them until you can just sing in front of them and feel no feeling except the joy of singing in front of your friends. And then suddenly, you've got all the way to the final goal, singing in front of a crowd. Set it up, and then you'll do it. And that is what I want you to do. If you take anything away from this video, it is to do that exercise. I'm telling you, you've probably watched so many of these videos, so many Stoic videos, most of them are just AI these days, sadly, but you've watched so many of these videos, hoping to turn your life around, and it's not happened. I was there. I watched so many motivational videos, and my life never turned around. I still had these feelings. I got motivation for an hour, but then these feelings just came back. If you really want to change your life, then do that exercise. Keep listening to this video, listen to all the steps, but the exercise is the most important. Those steps just help you in life. Deal with your problems, deal with this exercise because it will be difficult. But the trick is to hammer that nail, strike while the iron's hot, every single day or multiple times a day, because eventually, it becomes addictive. That growth becomes addictive, and I want you to chase it. I need you to do this. Write the goal that you want to do on this video, comment it on this video, and I want you, when you finally do that thing after watching this video, I want you to leave a comment again saying you've done it. Reply to your comment and say you did it, because I'm sure it'll be faster than you thought. Honestly, I wanted to do this, what I'm doing right now, for so long, and I was doing every single trick under the sun, But when I finally got this exercise and chased the discomfort, it was the fastest. It took me not very long at all to get to where I am, because this is all it is. Just chasing that discomfort, following these steps, and it will get you there. I can guarantee it. So, if you want to turn your life away around, do this. So, thank you for watching, and I really want you to do that because it will change your life. Whatever problem you've got, it will change your life. Whatever dream you've got, it will change your life. And I'm not saying doing that dream, sing in front of the crowd, will be the thing that gives your life meaning and changes your life. It is the journey, it is the pursuit of that thing that will change your life. Singing in front of the crowd might not do anything for you. You might go, actually, this isn't what I want, but you'll never realize until you do it.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to receive great videos every day from the Quotes of Stoic channel. Goodbye and see you again.